Hello, this is DHG doing my review for Call of Duty Final Fronts. What would my rating be for this game? I'd say it was bad. For numerous reasons, but most above all, the game just didn't work very well. It had a lot of unresponsive controls, it versed a lot of territory that people had already done before at this point, but I gotta say kudos for Activision for giving Call of Duty one last hurrah on the PlayStation 2 platform. Because at that point, it was the best-selling console of all time. So giving some people that owned the older console something to sink their teeth into was nice. So I'm going to get right into the review here. The graphics. Pretty good for the PlayStation 2. I mean, out of the three consoles that were out with the PlayStation 2, you had the Xbox, you had the GameCube, and you had the PS2. The PS2 had the weakest hardware by far. The Xbox almost doubled it in terms of power. But what they were able to do with this game and the graphics was very impressive. Not the best looking game, but it was still impressive nonetheless. That being said, I'll move on to controls. Controls were not very good. I mean, it takes a while to get used to them, and even when you never get used to them. The dead zones are big. You either get too much or too little response. It's a mess trying to aim. The controls were just not good at all. Plus, there's the unresponsiveness with the buttons. Sometimes you'll hit the trigger to fire, and nothing happens. Sometimes you just have to jam it. It was a mess. Gameplay. Pretty much what you would expect out of a Call of Duty game from this era. I mean, you can see it on the screen. You just run around shooting people. They mixed it up from turret defenses to blowing up some tanks and all that. They did that pretty good. They throw in a little bit of extra stuff to keep you occupied, and the flamethrower is always a lot of fun to use. Oh, let me add something to the graphics section here. I forgot. Screen tear. There's a lot of screen tear in this game. In fact, you can see it right now. That's what reminded me of it. If you don't know what screen tear is, good, keep it that way. But if you do know what it is, like me, and you can't unsee it, screen tear is horrible. It just makes my skin curdle looking at it. Sound. The sound's pretty wimpy. A lot of the guns in this game sounds like shit. Especially the Type 100, which I just picked up right there. It sounds horrible. It sounds like a pea shooter. Some of the guns have a bit of an oomph to them, but most of them just don't sound very good. They sound twangy, bad. Just absolutely no punch whatsoever. Music. I really don't recall much music, other than your typical Call of Duty bullshit. So, that's saying something right there. Storyline. They give the historical openings with the History Channel or wherever they pull that from, which was always pretty cool. I liked it when the Call of Duty games still did that kind of thing. That was neat, but the story mainly focuses on the Pacific Theater taking the fight right up to Japan. Of course, it doesn't show us ending with the bombs in this one. But it also does the final fronts over in Europe, too, with going into Germany. I thought that was pretty cool. Stability and bugs. There was a few bugs, not that many. Stability, I didn't have any crashes. Crashes were kind of, if I remember right, very rare in PlayStation 2. But the bugs, there was a couple different bugs. Nothing really big, though. There was nothing that stopped my advancement in the gameplay, so I actually got some decent marks on that. In my opinions. Well, I already said my opinion. It was nice for Activision to give the place, well, let's just call it what it was. It was a cash grab to get from PS2 players. But at least they got something, because otherwise they would have played World at War on the 360 or the PS3, which was the better game overall. But this was a nice little hurrah for the PlayStation 2. And that's it. Call of Duty. World at War Final Fronts. Probably the rarest Call of Duty game out there. It is bad, but with that being said, if you're dying out of curiosity, you can get a copy and play it on the PlayStation 2. Or you might be able to rip an ISO of it and play it on a PlayStation 2 emulator, like I always get the letters mixed up here. PCXX2, PXCS2, whatever it's called. I use it all the time and I can't remember what it's called. You could try that, or you could just get an old PlayStation 2. They're about $100 or so, and if you want the retro experience, you can play it in all its 480p glory. That's DHG. Hit the like and subscribe button. Let's get this channel growing.